In 19 minutes, he exploded for 34 points. As he walked off the court to his teammates' wild celebrations, 40-year-old Chris Paul quietly approached the referee. He secured the game ball for Sandro Mamukelashvili. This was a milestone night for Mamu, as he became the highest-scoring player in NBA history within 20 minutes of play. Mamu and Chris Paul are 14 years apart. This was the same Chris Paul he took a photo with at the NBA store in New York when he was 13 years old. Throughout the entire fourth quarter, Chris Paul kept looking for Mamu, helping him push for a career high. Wearing jersey number 54, the young player went 8 for 8 from the field in the final quarter, scoring 21 points. The San Antonio Spurs home arena erupted with long-lost MVP chants directed at him. This was the first time he heard fans in the United States shouting MVP for him, and he found it unbelievable. Mamu is very interested in Chinese culture. He has 3 tattoos on his leg. The top one is Kung Fu Panda, the one with the number 23 is his college jersey number, and the bottom one is 24, which is the number of his idol, Kobe Bryant. Between himself and his idol, Mamu inscribed with one Chinese character what he values most: family. At the age of 9, he and his older brother, David, were visiting their aunt in Chicago when the TV news suddenly reported that war had broken out between Russia and Georgia. As a child, he watched in horror as tanks rolled in and bombs fell from the sky on television. His heart sank. At that moment, his parents were in Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia, and their fate was uncertain. The military conflict lasted only 5 days, but it felt like 5 years. More than 200 civilians were killed, and tens of thousands became refugees. It wasn't until his parents finally called to say they were safe that Mamu could finally breathe again. He and his brother immediately said goodbye to their aunt and returned home. The ruins they saw looked no different from war movies. If we hadn't been at our aunt's house then, we might not be here today. At a young age, Mamu had already experienced what it meant to survive disaster. Mamu actually holds U.S. citizenship. He was born in New York when his mother was visiting her aunt, a great pianist, and gave birth there. During the Russia-Georgia conflict, the U.S. Embassy in Georgia even called Mamu's parents to check if their child was safe. Neither of Mamu's parents were basketball players, but his grandmother, Ira Gabashvili, was once the captain of the Soviet women's national basketball team. He has never watched his grandmother's games because she passed away before he was born, but he has heard stories about her basketball career. His father always tells him how his grandmother played, which fills Mamu with longing and admiration. Basketball became Mamu's way of escaping the shadow of war. Growing up in Georgia, Mamu idolized Zaza Pachulia. Although Pachulia was hated by many fans in the NBA, he was revered as a basketball god in Georgia. He funded the construction of basketball courts, purchased equipment, and helped children in Georgia learn the sport. Mamu didn't have the best conditions as a kid. His first basketball hoop was actually a stool. That was where he learned to shoot. He and his brother hung a hoop in their room, secretly practicing for hours every day. At just 5 years old, he boldly declared to his mother that one day, he would make it to the NBA. But coming from Georgia, Mamu faced extremely limited basketball training resources, so he and his parents often discussed whether there was a way for him to play overseas. At 13, a stranger suddenly contacted him on Facebook, claiming to have heard from friends that he was a talented basketball player. The person asked him, "Do you want to play in Italy?" Suspiciously, when Mamu checked the person's profile, there was no basketball-related content, just a profile picture of someone posing on a beach. His father dismissed it as a scam. If it were real recruitment, who would contact you through Facebook? But Mamu didn't want to give up and insisted on replying. To his surprise, the person later sent him official trial invitations from 3 Italian clubs and even booked his flight. His father remained skeptical, but Mamu persuaded him, "It's free anyway. At worst, we just treat it as a trip to Italy." The second club they visited for trials was Biella Basketball Club, which had both A1 and A2 league teams, allowing players to move between divisions. Their head coach, Federico Danna, had been deeply involved in youth training since 1979. Mamu and his father were impressed. However, the club told Mamu they preferred another player from the trial. Ironically, that player later chose a different team, so Biella went back and recruited Mamu. During his 2 years of training in Italy, Mamu quickly made a name for himself. He helped his team win a national bronze medal and ranked among the top 3 players of his age group in Europe. Thus, he embarked on his journey alone, studying while playing for his club's youth team. Every summer, Mamu would visit his aunt in the US for vacation. She used her connections to support him in any way possible. She even arranged for him to attend the Chicago Bulls youth training camp, introducing him to American basketball. At the age of 16, with the help of his aunt, Mamu arrived in Florida and joined the powerhouse of American high school basketball, Montverde Academy, the alma mater of Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell. It was during this stage that Georgian basketball legend Zaza Pachulia appeared. He taught Mamu how to play and even introduced him to star teammates like Stephen Curry. However, Mamu had limited knowledge of American college basketball. When many schools saw his performance and called to recruit him, he did not take them seriously, missing numerous opportunities and ultimately ending up at Seton Hall University in Division I. While playing for Seton Hall University, Pachulia explicitly demanded that he develop his long-range shooting skills. Almost after every game, Mamu would video call or text Pachulia for guidance. Standing at 6 feet 9 inches, Mamu was not confined to a traditional center's playing style. He could drive and shoot, making him highly versatile. However, in his freshman year, he barely got any playing time, accumulating just 7 minutes for the entire season. Just when he was feeling disheartened, his coach reassured him, "Let me send these seniors off, and I promise that starting your sophomore year, you'll be a starter, and I'll help you reach the highest level." The coach kept his word. Over the next 3 years, he frequently started, and his per-game stats soared from 2.6 points as a freshman to 17.6 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 3.2 assists as a senior, earning him the Big East Player of the Year award, which finally gave him the confidence to pursue the NBA. In 2021, as an older rookie, Mamu entered the NBA draft with his family by his side. However, he was not selected until the 54th overall pick in the second round by the Indiana Pacers, who then traded him to the Milwaukee Bucks, signing him to a 2-year, non-guaranteed two-way contract. To commemorate this moment, Mamu chose the number 54 jersey, determined to become the best player in the league and make the teams that passed on him regret it. Every day in the NBA, Mamu trained with this belief, but as a second-round pick, the team wasn't going to give him many opportunities. His first team was the Bucks, but perhaps the Spurs were his true home. As an elementary school student, Mamu had already worn a Spurs jersey. In 2023, the Bucks waived Mamu, and since the Spurs had always favored well-rounded international players, they quickly picked him up. Greg Popovich commented, "He's European, and that made me like him from the start because they've all received excellent coaching and generally understand the game better than most players here." Despite joining the Spurs, he still did not receive many opportunities and remained a fringe player who could be cut at any time. However, Mamu did not let this discourage him or slack off. He trained even harder than Chris Paul. In San Antonio, his playing time was inconsistent. Some nights he played over 10 minutes, while others he spent the entire game on the bench. But Mamu never gave up because of limited opportunities. One night, after finishing dinner at the Team Facilities Club, Chris Paul looked down at the court and saw a lone figure still practicing. It was Mamu. Perhaps it was this dedication that made Chris Paul willing to pass him the ball. This season, after the Spurs traded Zach Collins and Victor Wembanyama was ruled out for the season due to a shoulder vascular thrombosis, Mamu finally got another opportunity. With both Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox sidelined, the Spurs shifted their focus to the draft and had little expectation for the regular season. Maybe putting Mamu on the court was just a helpless decision by the coach. But for Mamu, every game mattered. There were no garbage minutes. His contract is set to expire this summer, and every point he scores is an added bargaining chip for his future. On his career night, fans chanted MVP for him, and his veteran teammate Chris Paul made sure he got the game ball as a keepsake. Proudly, Mamu said, "I've been waiting for this day for so long. I've prayed and hoped for it." To Mamu, it all felt like a dream. After the game, he said with lingering excitement, "I've heard people in Georgia call me MVP, but never in America. At that moment, I was wondering what was happening. It felt like an out-of-body experience." Was this real? Yes, it was all real. Mamu survived a war crisis, traveled through European and American leagues, and experienced the ups and downs of life. Now, he has set an NBA record with significant value. Maybe this game won't save his career, his contract is expiring soon, and where he will play next season remains uncertain. Everyone who makes it to the NBA is the Jordan of their own story, but many struggle to accept when their storyline shifts from being Jordan back to their original selves. But Mamu is different. He has calmly accepted both his misfortunes and his blessings, always staying ready. His career night was the best reward for his perseverance.